Welcome everybody to the video from the sign numbers unit, the first video from the sign numbers unit about writing and evaluating algebraic expressions. So let's get started. So we'll be using algebra in this section, so we will be therefore using variables because variables are these symbols for, or not the symbols, that's what makes algebra is the fact that you use variables. So you will definitely use a variable. You can read the definition. We're also going to be writing algebraic expressions, not equations. Since they're expressions, you will not have any, okay, this is not working, equal signs at all. In any of your math problems that you will be writing in this section. No equal sign. An expression means there's no equal sign. Okay, so to write an algebraic expression, so remember that algebraic implies that you're using a variable. So that makes it a variable. And expression means that you're using no equal sign. Okay, so you're going to write a variable for whatever the unknown thing is, the number, number of cats, the cost of something, whatever, and then you're going to translate the rest of the worlds into math symbols. And it says the glossary helps. So in the next slide, you will see a glossary. And that glossary gives you the expression or the words that you will be translating into the different math symbols. So for example, when it says the sum, that means you're going to use addition. If it asks you, if it talks about difference, minus, decrease by, less than, subtracted from, etc., you can read them. The words that actually indicate which operation you're using. A couple of things I want to point out. One of them is that for for subtraction, you have this thing that's a switch order, and I just crossed it out. I thought it was going to be a highlighter. It's not a highlighter. That's okay. It says switch order. When it says switch order, that means whatever order the words come in the English part, in the words, you switch the order. So for example, if it says 7 less than a number, the second thing comes first in the subtraction. The second. Ooh, that's really thick. I'm going to erase that. The second thing comes first. And the first thing comes second. So you're going to do the thing that comes second, minus the first. Okay, that's my little hint about subtraction. Some of them you do in the order that it's given. Those are the ones that are listed there. Some you have to switch the order. We'll do some examples of that. Okay. For multiplication, the one word that I think you really need to pay attention to is this part right here that says of. Of means multiplication. So if it says half of something, that means multiply 1/2 times whatever the something is that you're supposed to write. Okay? Last little clue here, never use an x for multiplication in algebra. That should be obvious. The reason why, because an x means an x now, not multiplication. So if you want to write 4 times j, you're not going to write 4xj, you're going to write 4j. You don't even need a dot, you don't need parentheses, you're just going to write 4j. If you have a number next to a variable, that tells you to multiply them. And finally, this part about division down here, it goes in the order that you see it. So if you have the quotient of x and y, you write it in fraction form, not using this little line with the 2 dots, and the thing that comes first goes on the top, because that's normally what you would write first in a fraction anyway, and the thing that comes second goes second, because that's normally what you would write second anyway in a fraction. Okay, so here are some examples. Alrighty. So first of all, the quotient of a number and 8. So that means we're going to be dividing The number is the variable, so you can pick, or is one of the things. So this is the dividing. That means division. Okay, so that's my division thing. And then a number would be a variable, so we're going to use n for the number. It's not letting me write n for whatever reason, so that's going to be n. Alrighty, and obviously 8 is already a number, so we're just going to write the letter 8. And that's the quotient of a number and 8. Okay, get rid of that one. The product of a number and 24. So the word product indicates that we're going to multiply. And if you remember from the slide before, for multiplication, we're not going to use a dot. We're not going to use an X. We're simply going to write the number that we're given, which in this case is 24, because we're multiplying 24 times the number, which in this case we're going to use a variable. So I'll just write P for the variable this time. And it's implied multiplication. So that multiplication thing right here, this multiplication that we're supposed to be thinking about. Okay, again, it's not working. Okay. This multiplication here, indicated by the word product. Okay. All right, next, 15 less than twice a number. So we have to be careful when we read, because we have a couple of different indicators in here for operations. The first one is less than. So less than is subtraction. So there's my subtract sign. Then I also have another number, twice. And twice means 2 times. If your mother tells you to do something twice, she's telling you to do it 2 times. So we're going to do twice, so 2 times. No, 2 times a number. So we're going to subtract 15, which is already a number, so I'm just going to leave that. And remember, less than is that switch order thing. So we're going to put the 15 second. The 15 comes second. Okay, there's the 15. It comes second. And then twice is that 2 times. So twice is 2 times. And then the number we're using, let's see, I can't remember what we've been using for, I think we've been using blue. So for the number, we're going to use blue, and we're going to use X for that. So we're going to have 2 times X minus 15. So the 15 was already there. The less than meant subtract, but do it in backwards order. And the other thing we're subtracting is twice a number, so we had to multiply 2 times X. Okay, half of a number increased by 38. So half means 1/2. Okay, of is an operation word. Of means to multiply. So that means we're going to multiply 1/2, and then of a number, the number as it has been every other time, is going to be the variable. We'll use n this time for the number. So 1/2 times n, just like normal, we don't put anything there, we just write 1/2 times n. And then increased by is another operator. Use pink for that one. Increased by, if you look at your glossary, increased by means add. So we're going to add. And then finally, 38 is already a number. It's already given to us. So we're going to write 38. And there's that one. And then we have our last. Suppose you work after school for $10 an hour you work a different number of hours each week. That means the number of hours varies. So since the number of hours varies, that's going to be our variable. Different number means that number varies. So that's going to be our H. Okay, we're going to use H for hours. Okay. Whenever you make $10 per hour, that means you're going to take the number of hours that you work and multiply it by 10. So if we want to find out how much we can make in 1 week, H stands for the number of hours each week. So we're just simply going to write, let me highlight this part or underline this part right here. This $10 per hour indicates 10 times the hours. Okay, so if we're going to do 10 times the number of hours, we're going to do 10. And then multiplication is implied here. Remember, we don't need a dot or anything. And H is our variable. So finally, our expression is 10H. And then we're done. Okay. So moving on, now we're going to evaluate an algebraic expression. So there are a few things that you need to know. I expect you to do two things when you evaluate. I expect you to substitute, which means replace the variable with the number that you're given, and then simplify using order of operations, which you've already gone through, so I'm not going to read through those, but you can if you need to. So let's move on to our example. It says evaluate this expression. 6 divided by n plus 4 times n divided by 2, and we're supposed to replace n with 3. So that means we have to write 6 over 3 plus 4. And now we're not in algebra anymore because we're replacing n, so we need to write our x. Because if we don't write for multiplication, if we don't write that, then it'll look like the number 43 instead of 4 times 3. So using order of operations, we're going to do 4 times 3, and 4 times 3 is 12. So I'm just going to replace that with 12. And then I'm going to do the division. So 6 divided by 3 is 2. And 12 divided by 2 is 6. And finally, 2 plus 6 equals our final answer of 8. Next example. We're going to substitute. We're doing 24 divided by b minus c times a. CA means c times a. So we're going to write 24 divided by 2 minus c, which is 1 times 5, which is a. So we're going to do our division first. 12 minus 1 times 5 is 5, and 12 minus 5 is 7. Our third example, we're doing 2/3 times k minus 3.6 times n. So we're going to substitute k, 33 for k, so 2/3 times 33 minus 3.6 times 0.5. So when we multiply our fractions, we have to put 33 over 1. We can cancel. Remember that from our fractions lesson. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 33 divided by 3 is 11. So then we're going to do 2 times 11 is 22. Minus 30.6 times 5 is 0. 15 plus 3 is 18. With 2 decimal places because we have these 2 decimal places here and here. So that's 1.8. And 22 minus 1.8 is 19.2. My bad. It's 20.2. Good luck!